Arsenal. Centre-back. Arsenal had actually been in pretty fine form in the build-up to the Premier League suspension, although their impressive results were slightly subdued by elimination at the hands of Olympiacos in the Europa League. The world is currently facing a very serious global pandemic, and you probably have to go back to the last major SARS outbreak in the early to mid-2000s for the last time Arsenal had a truly world-class centre-back partnership. It seems like we've been saying that Arsenal need a quality centre-back for as long as time itself, but still we wait for it to happen. The Gunners sign a new centre-back every season, but never quite seem to push the boat out and bring in a real class act like Van Dijk or Laporte. Arsenal's most frequent centre-back duo this season has been David Luiz and Socrates. Socrates loves a battle but isn't the most intricate, and whilst Luiz can be excellent for 89 minutes, we all know he possesses that split second of madness. Top-class centre-backs aren't easy to come by, but finally finding one surely has to be Mikel Arteta's priority in the summer. Chelsea. Left-back. I've no doubt that there are three positions in particular Frank Lampard will be keen to strengthen at Chelsea in the summer: left-back, centre-back and centre-forward. The Blues have options at centre-back, but the likes of Tamori Zuma and Christensen are yet to really stamp down a definitive place in Lampard's starting 11. Meanwhile, Antonio Rudiger has missed large spells of this season through injury. Up top, Lampard may place his trust in Tammy Abraham, but even so, he will need fresh backup options with Olivier Giroud and Michy Batshuayi seemingly likely to leave the club. The biggest problem position at Stamford Bridge, though, for a while now, has been at left-back. Marcus Alonso and Emerson have been rotated there this season, but neither have played with the real authority. Frank Lampard was used to having Ashley Cole alongside him at left-back during his time at Chelsea, and I suspect he'll be keen to add someone with that kind of solidity at left-back this summer. Manchester City. Centre-back. Even the indigenous Sentinelese people of the North Sentinel Islands in the Bay of Bengal off India, who have lived uncontacted for 60,000 years, are well aware that Manchester City are desperately in need of a new centre-back. The Citizens lost their captain Vincent Kompany last summer, but despite usually being so free spending in the transfer market, they did not bring in a central defensive reinforcement. Aymeric Laporte is a class act, and he is so good that he typically makes his centre-back partner look competent, but in his absence, the Man City defence often looks all at sea. Fernandinho has spent most of the season playing at centre-back, often preferred to John Stones or Nicolas Otamendi, who Pep Guardiola doesn't seem to trust as a partnership. I've no doubt Man City will go hard in the transfer market in search of a quality partner for Laporte, setting their sights high perhaps on the likes of Ruben Dias at Benfica or Milan Skriniar at Inter Milan. Manchester United. Defensive midfield. In my humble opinion, there are a couple of positions in which Manchester United could really do with a proper world-class signing. One of those is on the right flank to partner Martial and Rashford in their front three. That may seem harsh on Dan James, who has had an admirable first season, but I just think United's youthful front three could do with a Mane, Salah or Sterling type of established threat on the right flank, although finding one is easier said than done. I'd probably say defensive midfield is the Red Devils' weakest position right now though. Since the arrival of Bruno Fernandes, United's midfield ranks have improved immeasurably, and Fred has started playing his best football in a United shirt. Nemanja Matic has put in some decent performances, but I just feel as though the 31-year-old sometimes looks a little slow and laborious these days. There are plenty of better, more combative, and more gifted holding players out there, and I'd be surprised if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't on the lookout for one. Tottenham. Centre forward. Watching Tottenham in the last few weeks prior to the Premier League suspension, you could be forgiven for thinking that they need to strengthen in every position. Jose Mourinho will be asking for cash to spend this summer, no doubt, as well as praying that he can keep hold of his most prized assets. Harry Kane is Tottenham's star man, but whether or not the club sells him, they urgently need a new striker. Having lost Fernando Llorente last summer, Tottenham really do not have any serious backup to Kane. Son Heung-min has tended to play through the middle in Kane's absence, but he does his best work out wide. Then you have Irishman Troy Parrott, who only recently turned 18 and certainly isn't yet ready to give competition to Kane when fit. Tottenham have a real problem in as much as Harry Kane has sustained a number of injuries in recent seasons, and that's likely to be partly down to the lack of cover for him, meaning he has to play virtually every minute of every game when he's fit. Tottenham need a good, hungry young striker who can be rotated for Kane when fit and cover as a replacement for him when Kane is sidelined.